Hello, so today we are going to continue our mini review of Algebra 1. So today we're going to focus on distributing and combining like terms. So our objective for today is that you will be able to distribute and combine like terms to simplify expressions. So we'll have our warm-up and exit ticket in class, and in this video we are going to go over distributing first and then combining like terms, and we will look at some examples. So to start off, when you are distributing, you multiply the number in front of the parentheses to everything inside the parentheses. So this would include the sign in front of that number too. So in this example right here, we have 4, and you multiply 4 times 8, and then also the 4 times the 3. But now if we had a negative sign in front of this 4, it would carry to both like numbers. So you would distribute that whole -4. When you're combining like terms, you always want to distribute first and then combine all your like terms. So like terms are variables. So like it's a term that has the same variable and that variable is raised to the same exponent. So here we have x, 3x, and -2x. They are all like terms because they don't have an exponent, but technically their exponent is 1. So they all have the same exponent. Then we have 3y squared minus 5y squared and 22y squared. They would all be like terms because they all have the y, and the y's are all raised to the second power. Lastly, our example, we have 3x squared, 5x, and 6x. These would not be like terms because right here it's raised to the second power, but these are raised to the first power, so these variables are not raised to the same exponent. So we could also have just 5, -2, and 11. They would all be like terms because they don't have an exponent at all. So let's look at some examples. In this first one, we have 6x plus 10 plus 11x minus 16. So if we look at our first one, we have 6x. So we're going to look for any other terms that have just x to the first power. So this would be plus 11x. So 6x plus 11x gives us 17x. Because you're just combining them. So we have positive 6x plus 11x. Then, sorry, I was changing the color. We have positive 10 minus 16. They don't have any variables at all, so they are like terms, so we can combine them. So we have 10 minus 16 is minus 6. So our answer is just 17x minus 6. We can't combine those any further because one term has an x and one does not. So for this example, we have some distributing to do before we combine any like terms. So if you see, we have this negative sign, so it's just like a -1 right in front of the parentheses. So you want to multiply everything in the parentheses by -1. So -1 times -1y becomes positive 1y. -1 times positive 7 is -7. And then you can just copy all your other terms down. And now we'll combine our like terms. So now we have this y term here. The next two terms don't have y's, and we have -2y. So we just do y minus 2y is -y. And then we look at our constants. So we have -7 plus 4 gives us -3. And this would be your final answer. This one, we have some fractions, everyone's favorite thing. So we need to distribute these fractions into the parentheses. So if you remember when you multiply fractions, so like 1 over 5, we'll do times 25. You can put this 25 over 1. So there's a couple ways you could look at it. It's 25 over 1. So when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across the top. So 1 times 25 is 25. Multiply straight across the bottom, so 5 times 1 is 5. And then you simplify, so 25 divided by 5 is 5. Or you could just do 1/5 times 25. It like cancels out, so this bottom would become 1 instead of 5, and the top becomes 5. And then you just get your 5. So we have 1/5 times 5x. The 5's would cancel, so you're just left with 1x. And then we just did 1/5 times 25, gives us 5. Now multiplying you want to include this whole negative 1/2. So negative 1/2 times 2, they cancel. So you're just left with minus x. Then negative 1/2 times negative 4, it becomes positive because it's a negative times a negative. And 4 times 1/2, it's like 4 divided by 2, so that becomes a 2. This will become a 1, and you get plus 2. So now, now we want to combine our like terms. So we have x minus x would just be 0, so they cancel out. Then we have positive 5 plus 2. So we just get 7, and that's our final answer. So fractions aren't as scary as they seem. This one, we're adding in some exponents now. So we have 6m. 7m squared is not a like term because the m is raised to a different exponent. And then you have minus 8m. So 6m minus 8m is negative 2m. Then we have 7m squared plus 3m squared. They are like terms because they're raised to the same exponent. So plus 10m squared. Now I like to write it in descending order. So 10m squared minus 2m would be your final answer. And this problem, we do have some distributing first. It looks like a longer problem. But remember, make sure you distribute that whole negative 2. So negative 2 times 3x squared is negative 6x squared. Negative 2 times negative 1 becomes positive 2. And copy everything else down. So we have 8x squared plus 2x plus 12. And now we just have to combine our like terms. So we have 8x squared minus 6x squared gives us 2x squared. We have positive 2x. And oh look, there's no other terms that have just an x. So you just carry it down. So it's just plus 2x. And then lastly, we have positive 12 plus 2. So plus 14. So your final answer is 2x squared plus 2x plus 14. And that is our last example of the day. So make sure you come to class with any questions you have. We will review this in class and do some practice.